What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York, calling from the Altar again, and this time we are here with Stefan of the Almighty Vulture. It is great to be able to talk with you. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Hi, thanks for having me. Hi.
Yeah, it is so awesome to have you here. This new album, Sentinels, is absolutely kick-ass. Was this just sort of a continuation of Dealing Death in a way, or was this meant to almost be new uncharted territory for Vulture?
Yeah, definitely the latter. We tried to be a little bolder again, a little wilder again, and thinking about stuff like the guillotine and our first EP, and get these elements like the rough side of Vulture and the more tricky and I don't know, over the top sounding side of Vulture combined with the more straighter ideas behind Dealing Death, and that kind of resulted in Sentinels, I guess.
Yeah. And what I find great is, because I remember interviewing you right before the Dealing Death cycle came out, and I do feel that there is like a lot of new uncharted territory. Like when I was listening to Dealing Death and listening to songs such as Gorgon or Star-Crossed City, and then you listen to Sentinels and you compare that to Death Row or Gargoyles or Oathbreaker, it really seems like that there's a lot of differences and a lot of evolution. Was this part of the vision? Was it almost kind of like, did you dictate this evolution, or did it just kind of happen that way?
Now, when we signed with Metal Blade like 7 or 8 years ago, we felt, 7 years. We felt very, very pressured to deliver, and did with Ghastly Waves did a record where we all our elements and all things that we thought made our style, we overemphasized them a lot, and were very unhappy with that afterwards. And with Dealing Death, we tried to play the safe card a little more. And now, as I just said, we try to find best of both worlds in some way, and I think. I think all the stuff that's now on Sentinels has always been there, all the elements to some degree. I think the structure that we give our songs now makes all those elements shine through way better. So if you make like a big melody and you hide it behind 20 riffs and 13 solos, it's not going to shine through. But if you make the big melody the big star of the song, it's going to stick with you. And that's more like the approach we went with this time. It took a lot of more time songwriting wise, and super confident now. I think it's a lot. It was a lot of fun.
Well, I got to tell you too, because the evolution that is demonstrated. This is a debate I like to have with artists, sort of like because I get different perspectives on it. Because when you compare the Guillotine to Ghastly Waves to Dealing Death to now, there's evolution. There's a lot of progression. The technical proficiency, the songwriting. You've really found yourselves. Do you believe the evolution of an artist, that you can dictate that? Do you feel that you have control over your own evolution, or is it just come with as you experience more? Like you can't force yourself to evolve.
No, not at all. You can't do that. We try to control that, and we try to make it a little artificial here and there, and it didn't work out. And I think evolution is done by doing mistakes or by rethinking stuff, and that's what we did. And I'm very happy that this evolution, if you want to call it that led us to where we're at right now.
Yeah. I also wanted to ask, I had a really stupid pun question that I wanted to ask. Victim to the Blade, the debut demo, was that at all like, maybe, I don't know if that was after you got signed with Metal Blade, or if it was your way of getting Metal Blade's attention?
That would have been cool, huh? Just imagine if it was intentional and we kind of tricked us onto that label. No, it was not, but that would have been amazing. Sticks very good. When we signed to the record, the contract, we added our blade to the X.
That's amazing. And I'm just because I want to pay a little tribute to Metal Blade too, because Metal Blade was the first label that actually gave this channel a chance to do interviews. The first interview I did for the channel was with Revocation. So, and it led to more and more from there. But signing with Metal Blade, because I feel like Vulture has a really goes back to the roots of when Metal Blade was sort of signing Armored Saint, or how Brian Slagle was connecting the guys with Metallica and all that. So like when you guys were working with Metal Blade, was it more or less like this was a breath of fresh air, like, or was it like this is something new and something different, or was it like this is a great throwback, this goes to show that the old genre stuff is not dead too, you know?
Now, when we always had that little dream that one day we might be on that label, because obviously when you're in a band, you get signed to record label, and think of what could be and what one day maybe we can end up on. And the only record label that came to our minds was Metal Blade, because it's all the stuff back then that came out that is so influential to us, for us. There is so much coming from Metal Blade, all those Metal Massacre samplers, the first Metallica stuff, all the great Slayer records. Metal Blade has such a big legacy behind them that it feels we're very honored to be on that thing. And it also is it's super stuff, super fun. Obviously, I'm on the European side of Metal Blade, and we are meeting people quite often and having a great time. The A&R that's responsible for us is living one street away from me, and
oh wow,
it's amazing to have a good relationship with that label. And when we signed to them, we were not aware that this could happen, like a label like Metal Blade with this such a prestigious name, and all of a sudden it's just a bunch of cool people, and that's a very good thing for us.
If I was an A&R guy and I lived just down the street from one of the bands, I would totally I would listen to you rehearsing, and I would just like shout from my room, "You're doing it wrong! You're doing it wrong!" like I'd be looking over my shoulder every time I picked up a guitar if I was you.
Yeah, I bet. No, we're just having beers and watching football games once a week.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
But what I find fascinating too in the world of metal, I never had this conversation before. I figured I'd have it with you now. Metal fans are more aware of the industry, or kind of like, you know, record labels. Like, everybody in metal or most people in metal know who Brian Slagel is just as much as they know who Kerry King or James Hetfield is. Many people have heard of Roadrunner Records and know who Monty Connor or Mike Gitter was, and how they signed everybody from Slipknot to Nickelback. And so, like, I'm just like, I find it. Do you think that's just a coincidence, or maybe I'm overthinking it? I've noticed that metalheads are just as interested in record labels as the bands are.
Yeah, definitely. I think there have always also been times where people were buying blindly from labels because they like the labels. And I think that there is no big, what's the term? There is no big gaps between bands and fans, if you want to say so. I don't know how it was back then. I think it was pretty much the same. And I think people are very much aware of each other, and that includes also the industry. And people are buying records. People are interested in how this is coming to be, and are aware of the industry facts that producing vinyl is a pain in the ass, and all those elements. They're all part of the heavy metal world, and heavy metal fans like to get the full thing, I think. And yeah,
and it's funny too, because I've seen I've seen Brian Slagel at shows, and people were taking pictures with him doing the metal horns as well. So it goes to show that in this industry too, that it is like one family. Whether you're on the label side, the management side, the promotion side, or on the band, it really goes. I think it's a testament to how much of a community it is.
Yeah, definitely. I think same for Europe. It definitely is. So people are with each other, and that's a very good thing. I think it's a lot. It's so great to meet people. Also, sometimes when you're not really in the mood of meeting new people, there is always great moments, and I think this is maybe even the most important part of the heavy metal idea, and also maybe the most important reason why people choose this thing for themselves. Say, I'm going to be a heavy metal maniac, because they like this idea so much, I think.
Definitely. And that's why you also see so many metal musicians now forming podcasts too, from Jamie Jossa to Rob Flynn to Chris Jericho to you name it. So, and Doc Coyle too, can't forget that one. But when it comes, I wanted to go back to your songwriting process. Sort of a funny question, because I remember interviewing you too, and like talking about how like a song starts. And you mentioned like a lot of times it starts off with a riff, and I think the fucking riffs in Vulture are truly intense. But
thank you.
But I've gotten this answer, whether they're death metal bands, whether they're soft rock bands, blues, whatever. It always starts with a riff. Do you think we'll ever run out of riffs one day?
No.
No.
I'm very confident. As long as I'm feeling like I feel right now, I'm not afraid. I'm full of ideas, and the last 2 years I think have been the most creative years of my life so far, and I'm very happy to be able to do that still. Like I'm not old. I'm going 32 this year, but nevertheless I'm doing it for 15 years now, and I'm still able to feel creative. I'm very grateful for that, and as long as I'm feeling that I'm not worried at all that there might be a time where I'm out of ideas, and well, I'm not trying to reinvent myself in some way, but the ideas keep popping up, and I'm writing them down, and I don't think so.
To quote the great Lemmy Kilmister, if you think you're too old to rock and roll, you probably are. Yeah. And but do you think, because part of me wonders that the reason why guitars now have 8 strings and now are like, you see like at NAMM show, like those fucking guitars that you take the strings off, it's like an ironing board with like 80 strings on it. Like part of me wonders like if people are just going to start bringing harps in metal bands too, just because there's more strings to incorporate more riffs.
Not gonna happen for us. Yeah. It's not gonna happen for us.
Never say never. I've heard I've heard Lamb of God say they'll never incorporate clean singing on a song, and here they are now, and they're killing it too. So you never know. But when it comes to writing the sort of riffing style, because with the sort of thrashing style, riffs have a lot of melody behind them. So they demonstrate a lot of emotion, but there's also a rhythmic aspect. I think when bands write, the sort of speedy riffs, them and bass are very similar in that they have to keep up with each other. So are you focusing a lot on speed when you're writing your riffs, or are you mainly focused on melody? I know you don't have to focus on one more than the other, but is there one that you're focusing on first? How fast can I make it?
Melody, definitely. It's about the melody in the end, because it's the thing that makes a riff stick. And I know there is a lot of more modern approaches to thrash that focus way more on the rhythmic part of a riff. And for me, that's absolutely not enjoyable and completely different music. And for us, it's a lot about the melody the melody of a riff. And that's basically also how we start writing. It's usually me at work having a melody in my head, and then I'm doing like a voice message to my girlfriend saying, "Oh, don't mind, it's just a melody coming in. I'm gonna use that for later." And then sit down with the guitar and try to make a melody, a thrash metal riff. And this works very well for me.
Does she appreciate that if you're spamming her constantly with voice memos?
It's getting less. It's getting less, but I don't think she's even noticing it. She's just saying, I write memo. Don't worry. And then she's not even clicking it.
Oh, that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. I would have been like, "Are you listening to any of them? What the fuck?"
How do you like my new idea?
But do you think that there is, because I've heard people refer to things as speed metal and thrash metal as if they're completely separate genres. Are they separate genres?
I think I don't really care, to be honest. We've had that a lot, and there are bands where I say this is definitely not a thrash metal but a speed metal band. But if it comes to Vulture, I don't care at all if you call it thrash or speed metal. I think we're taking best of both worlds in some way. And there you will, I don't know, you will never call Rain and Blood a speed metal record. But listening to Show No Mercy, I think you can stick with both names. So I don't really care.
Yeah, I mean, I never minded the whole subgenre thing, because like I'm not going to show somebody who listens to black metal a metalcore album if they don't like metalcore. You know what I mean? Like if like I'm not gonna go to a guy in an Emperor shirt and be like, oh, did you hear the new Killswitch Engage album? And if they don't, but like at the same time, it's like, for instance, people are calling Iron Maiden power metal and people are calling Black Sabbath doom metal, and I'm like, they weren't calling that shit when they started. So like I think there is some there, or there was a time for us where it maybe was more important to be associated with a name, or felt more the urge to I don't know, be seen separate from other bands. That's why we stuck with this high speed metal thing. That's when we did the Facebook page back then, we said, okay, let's go with Vulture high speed metal, to not be associated with the Black Thrash thing so much, because back then every band that came from Germany that did thrash was immediately called Black Thrash, and we didn't want that. We wanted to make sure people noticed we're sounding more like a US metal band, and that's why we took that part. Right now I say, give me all your names. I don't care, as long as you like the music. I gotta tell you too, Germany, with every genre that there is, has always been good at fooling people and thinking that they're an American band. The only band that people knew were from Germany is Rammstein. But like, I can't tell you how many times I've listened to metalcore bands and been like, oh, from Germany. Like one metalcore band from Germany that I used to really love. They've been gone for a long time. They were called Machine Made God, and I first heard them, I go, oh, I wonder where in Boston they were from. I thought that maybe they played with like All That Remains or Unearthed. But then like a band like Accept, people might have thought that they were from like the UK or something like that, where a lot of that old school metal was. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, if I would have showed you to people, they would have immediately assumed you guys were from San Francisco. Yeah, that's a big compliment. I would have liked that. yeah. You guys have the San Francisco sound. I think German San Francisco. That's how you should describe your sound. Yeah, German San Francisco sounds very good. Yep. Feel free to use that. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time and for such an awesome chat. Thanks for coming back on the show. I can't believe it's been 3 years since I last spoke with you. Time moves so quick. Is there just anything else with the release of this brand new record with Sentinels that we could be expecting? Maybe I definitely asked you this last time, when you're coming to the U.S., and I'm going to ask you again. Any chance you could come to the U.S.? Hopefully. So far, there is no concrete thing that's like, there is no plan or no calendar marked so far. We were supposed to play South America like in a few weeks, but unfortunately the promoter died. It's super sad, so that's not going to happen. And the big plan for this year is now it's gone. So we kind of try to make up for that for next year, and hopefully come as soon as possible. We're in some way we're trying to work on it, but we're just hoping for the best. We definitely want to play. Well, I could tell you that with every time you're not coming to the U.S. with every cycle, you're putting out another epic album. So you're just going to have to make the set list bigger and bigger from when you do finally come here. So thank you so much, everybody. We are here with Vulture Sentinels. Be sure to pick that up. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time. Thanks for having me.